she is shocked. And I am so gratified that I'm able to get her a patty within minutes of my home. It's entrepreneurs like the people we celebrate tonight who make this possible. My heart is overjoyed to be part of this presentation. I think you'd agree with me that there's only one thing that could have made this better, and it would have been if it had been in person and we were able to taste the foods. I also want to apologize to the many who are not participating tonight, the other heroes and heroines who have kept this part of the culture alive and who could not be included, or we would be here forever. Let's claim them and big them up, as you would say in Jamaica. They have entered this high-risk business, high-risk demanding business to give us a taste of Jamaica, and they should be celebrated. We have a diverse group of entrepreneurs that we chose tonight to be represented. The businesses are diverse, and the challenges that they have faced are also diverse. So let me begin by introducing some of our participants. We have Brian Chin, who is representing Negril Eatery. Brian is still there. Is Margaret also here? Brian, he's not.
I'm here. Thank you,
You're
Drew.
here. Okay. And let me just briefly say something about Negril. I can remember when Negril opened back in the 70s, and it was located in Adams Morgan. And I was just so proud of the fact that, first of all, I knew the place Negril. This was a place we used to go before it was a resort. All that was there was a lighthouse, and we went there for school outings. And so, you know, we've got, Negril has been around now for 44 years, which is incredible length of time in the food business. We also have Joan Beckford. And Joan is the owner of Island Pride Oasis, restaurant, catering, and lounge. And I'm mentioning those three things purposely. Joan and her husband opened their business in 2002. So they are celebrating 21 years, which is an incredible accomplishment as well for this in this food business. Joan started with a grocery store, then expanded to catering, and then to the restaurant, and added an event space. So you've got to be flexible to stay in this business, and you got to seize these opportunities. Joan worked as an auditor, I believe, before she got into the food business. Welcome, Joan. Next, I want to introduce Lisa Waddell Nash. And by the way, I should mention all these participants are of Jamaican heritage. Lisa is the owner of the Jerk Pit, and she's celebrating 18 years, another incredible accomplishment in this business. Lisa, they started off with 2 people in 2005. And given this economy, I'm not sure, but last time I saw something written about the Jerk Pit, you had about 20 people working in the day-to-day operations. So that's an incredible accomplishment. I don't know whether Donovan and Sandra are on the call. I didn't see them. But I'll introduce Donna Henry. And Donna, again, of Jamaican heritage, is the owner of Soup Up Gourmet Soups. And the soups and other items on the menu are inspired by her Jamaican heritage. Because, you know, Jamaicans, most people don't realize that we have a strong soup tradition. Donna has dealt with a number of challenges, and one of the reasons to also have her on this call is because we don't want to give the impression that being in this business is smooth sailing. You've got to be flexible, you got to pivot. You've got to deal with issues that are not necessarily something that you generated. So Donna can also at some point share some of aspects of her journey. And the other person who I'm not seeing is O'Henry Bryan. And I texted him a few minutes ago, so I'm not sure. I'm going to move on. When he joins us, we can pull him in. What we'd like to explore is a number of topics with our participants, and I share these topics with them, which is generally what motivated them to get in the food business, the memories of Jamaica that they're trying to bring to the DMV through their business. What brought them the most joy? What has brought them the most joy on this journey? What have been some of the challenges, lessons learned, and what would they share with up and coming entrepreneurs? So again, let's welcome them again and thank you for participating. So I'm going to start off by asking Brian, since he's representing the grill, to share a little bit about Negril and what motivated his father and his aunt to get into the food business. Oh, we have his aunt. Hi, Margaret. Good to see you. Good to see you. So, just tell us a little bit about what motivated. I mean, this is back in the 70s. So what got you guys involved? What caused you to step up into this risky business?
Dave or Earl, my brother, came to visit. I was here for a couple of years, and he recognized and realized that there was very little Jamaican representation here in the DC area. And in addition to that, we had done, after university, we had done a stint in New York with family friends, Toaz Patties in New York. And it was Dave always wanted to open a patty factory. And so he found this little place in Adams Morgan. And 2 days before we opened, he went to New York and got the recipe for hardo bread and that sort of stuff. And that's how we started. There was no plan. There was no plan. We just knew that this place was in need of Jamaican representation or Caribbean food, Jamaican food. And that's how we started.
Well, I'm so glad you had that vision.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You were about to say something else.
Well, it just mushroomed into different things. And as we opened one, there were 1 or 2 places that did not succeed, but we just pushed forward and just closed that one, kept on going, and licked our wounds and just kept on going. And that's how it happened. And you just have to be friends with your community and appreciate them. And they know that you appreciate them. And so, as I tell my people, you can never be disrespectful, always embrace them, because that is who put you on the map. And that's how we are.
Yeah, wonderful advice. Wonderful advice. It's about the customers. In fact, I think Joan, I'm going to turn to Joan for a minute and ask her what started her journey in this business. But I did read where she actually emphasized that same point, that it's about the community. So Joan, tell us a little bit about what got you into this risky, demanding business. She
Okay, I just unmute.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay. Yes. I am one of those person like Mrs. Chin, that I guess it's a Jamaican thing. You just dive into it, swim or drown. So for me, the corporate industry kind of gets shaky sometimes when they start to decentralize and it becomes uncertain. And so one day my husband came and told me that this Jamaican market is selling. Of course, I know nothing about marketing of any sort. And it's good sometimes not to know, because if you know, you would not have chances. So I went in blind, in as much that when we bought the place, I have to ask him to stay to show me how to run the register. So I literally went in blind. But there is something about my personality that gravitates to the people. And so immediately I could see the rise of the business. Because when I took the business over, it was literally failing. And so I got in and put in your people to people kind of a thing. And so you gravitate to people, people gravitate to you. And then we realize that it's taking its toll. And to say that, I remember, as I said in my video, if you go after people, you will get money. If you go after money, you miss the people. And so you connect to the heart of the people. And when you connect to the heart of the people, that is the primary focus in doing business. And another thing, so I got right there where things start getting hard in 2008. Recession started hit, and you watch your customers going. That was a big turning point for me. And that's why every chance I get, I say it, because that was a big turning point when I watched the very people that put me into business now walking into my store with food stamp, because that was that era when things was really take a turn. And again, that was the year I bought my second business, 2008, when everything was failing. And they were like, everything is crumbling. You're gonna buy another business, but that's the time you step in, because you know you can make a difference to the community. So for me, I never have fear. Fear was never a part of my life. And so I would always dive in and do the best that you can. 2010, it was the same thing with another business. It was going out of business. I walked right in, I saved it, I took it over. And right now, that business is my duck that lays the golden egg. So you go into these places, you go in, you own them. You own them not by just the food you're cooking, but you go in and you own them as a master to a community. My Rockville business, when those kids come over for a meal, there are times I would just give them the meal. They're college students. They don't have the money, but with my giving spirit, I always have. But one thing with those students at Montgomery College, they sold me, and every one of them would carry me to their family members and everything. But it's a connection. If we are gonna do business, as our Jamaicans know, that was how you're brought up into Jamaica, where your parents feed the whole community. And everybody would go up to some parent house for something to eat. So you kind of carry that same stigma into your business, and it grows, because I always, when people come to me trying to sell me some kind of a marketing material, I would say to them, my best marketers are my own customers. I don't have to spend money on some piece of paper for you to go do something with it. Turn it on to your customers and they will get you the people you need.
Thanks, Jerome. This emphasis on community is now so important. As I mentioned, let's say, for example, when the grill first opened, there were few Caribbean businesses.
Mm-hmm.
They're now food businesses. Now there's, pretty much the businesses, like I said, close to 100, where there are different communities in which they're located. I'm right now trying to encourage one to be closer to my house. Everybody wants to be able to just about get out of those vehicles. This is now I'm talking about DC and the traffic issues here. And with the delivery business that people now in, they want the businesses to be sort of almost like your neighborhood dry cleaners and your liquor stores and all these other businesses that serve a community. So what you guys are mentioning is this focus on community is so important. And I'm going to come back to you guys. I would like Lisa to share a little bit about Jerk Pit. And as I mentioned, I think, Lisa, you're doing this is now 18 years. So tell us a little bit about your journey.
Okay. Well, I'm a Kingstonian, and I came here. Well, I went to Campion. I came here to go to Howard University, and I always knew I wanted to work for myself. That was basically, I knew. First, I started. I wanted to be an attorney. Then I said, you know what? That's too much school for me. So I said, let me change course. I like entertaining people. That's always a constant. And I knew I wanted to work for myself. So when I finished school, I did have a degree in communications. And I looked into it and I said, well, can't really make the money I want to make, doing communications with. I wanted to be a reporter, be a news anchor. First, I found out you had to be a reporter for that. They don't really make any money. Then I said, okay, I like the Caribbean music. While I was in school, I did a radio program on the Howard University radio station where I'd play reggae music on Friday nights. So that was something that, I started doing. I always, from I left Jamaica, one thing is constant. I've always tried to hold on to my culture as much as possible. And so once I finished school, I dabbled a little bit in technology. I worked for telecom companies. So I did some communications, but then I realized my joy wasn't there. I got laid off a couple of times, and then I said, I love coconut water. Anybody who knows me, I drink coconut water every single day. So that was my first entrepreneurial venture. I figured out how to bring coconut water from Jamaica, and then branched off into True Juice. And I used to supply a lot of the Caribbean restaurants and grocery stores in the area. Then Air Jamaica stopped coming to Baltimore, so that became a challenge. With trucking it from Miami and New York and stuff. So I kind of turned it over to someone else who was also in that field. And then I knew College Park was one area that I wanted to be, because one of the things I've always found out, or I remembered from business classes and seminars that I attended, they always say location, location, location. So, is one of the primary things in, doing business. So I found College Park, and I'm not far from there. I live in Laurel. And I knew that was one of the that was the area that I wanted to be. So I would drive up and down the road, up and down every day for months, trying to find a spot. It just so happened that there was a Jamaican restaurant there in a strip mall that was up for sale. Now, I didn't really want to do a strip mall thing because I kind of had a different vision. As a matter of fact, I don't know if any of you remember, well, from Kingston, know of a place called Peppers that used to be in Kingston. That was like a little hangout spot for me. And I like the concept. People just go and hang out and eat jerk chicken and play dominoes and listen to music and, pool, and just a nice little chill spot where you could come and meet with your friends. So that was an idea I had in my mind. And I said, this is something I would really like to do. So when I saw the restaurant available in College Park, I was like, you know what? This might be a stepping stone. I had a friend of my mom's who used to love to jerk chicken, grilled chicken, is really good at it. And so he and I talked about it. I said, we could try this thing, you jerk, and I, run the business and, get everything else going because I'm good at it. I had a lot of experience in marketing and I was a director of operations for a company for a while, etc. So I had a marketing background and business operational background. So we got into it. I bought the business, took out a mortgage, bought the business, had no clue. Everything was just done on faith, basically. So took this business over. I was in that shopping center for about 5 years. Didn't like how it was going because I realized it wasn't a concept that I wanted, first of all, but we actually got our name out there. And I kept driving up and down Route 1, found another spot that was an old broken down building. Actually, it was foreclosed, battered, boarded up and everything. And I said, you know what? This is actually something that I have in mind, that this could work, because it was a standalone building, had its own parking, outdoor seating. And so I said, this is more like what I want to do. So it's funny, one of my staff members at the time said, when I showed them, they said, are you crazy? This is what you have in mind. I said, yeah, man, we can make it work. So visionary. So I got that location in 2010, is when we moved, and had to kind of start over, basically, because a lot of our customers had to find us again and that sort of thing, even though we were only like 1 mile from where we were, half a mile really, from the old location. And it was really a starting over, but this was more in the line of what I wanted. So, and when we talk about the difficulties and stuff, but that was one thing, starting over, so to speak, even though I had 5 years under my belt, but new location, right, finding customers again, or having the customers find us. And then, building. And over the years, that was 2010. And I think moving was one of the biggest blessings I had, because it's more in line of what I envisioned. What brings me joy is seeing people have fun, seeing people enjoy themselves. When I have customers who come every day. And I don't know how they do it, but I know they afford it, but I'm grateful, But we have some customers daily, weekly, monthly, and they're used to these same faces, and they come and they're just enjoying the meal. And that, that gives me the satisfaction, and also mostly giving back to the community, because one of the things that I think that we do is, pandemic, of course, hit us all hard, and we had to reinvent. And thankfully, one of the things that saved me, I think, during that time is we were into the online delivery. I did a lot of online business, Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub. A lot of people say it's expensive and all that, which it is. However, I had already partnered with most of them, all of them really. And that is what helped us get through the pandemic. Catering as well, where people weren't having events there, but that was, truly a blessing for us, was, a lifeline really. And then I opened a lounge upstairs on our second floor. It's called also like Joan Oasis, a Jerk Pit Oasis really. But, and that's open on weekends, and that's more in the line of, having parties, events, people, lounge, hanging out, that kind of thing, playing music, open late. So we're open 7 days a week. And very challenging. Don't get a lot of sleep. I've gotten used to that. But we've got 18 plus years. January will be 19. So, looking for another location, but again, very picky. Don't want to fail, but I just feel like we're so busy at this location. I really want to make a good decision in choosing another location. So I have an idea of the area I want to be in. I just haven't found a spot yet. So that's kind of something that we're, still in the works. But, that's kind of my story, so to speak, on how I got involved in Jerk Pit to this point.
Wonderful story. Wonderful story. I think you captured a little bit of the next person I'm going to talk about. We're going to talk to Donna at Soup Up, in the sense that, we're in these safe spaces, and then you guys decide to go off into this risky and demanding business, I should mention, highly regulated by the health department, with a product that is perishable. We're going to come back and ask you some additional questions, Lisa, but I want to hear from Donna at Soup Up. And Donna, I live very close to Donna's business. So this has been, I like that idea of just sort of going down the street and getting food for the week when I don't feel like cooking. But Donna, could you share with us what motivated you to get into this business?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I wanted to do a singular product entity, something that was very basic and germane to my culture, but at the same time, very universal. And so soup was it. Soup was it's one of those products that I think is very, very Caribbean. But at the same time, it's very Asian, it's very European, it's very African. So there's a globalness about soup. And so I wanted to make soup the rock star of my company. So I am not a traditional Jamaican restaurant where we do the ackee and saltfish and we do the jerk chicken and rice and peas and all that good stuff. I'm most basically, as my company says, a soup bar, where soup is the rock star. It has been an interesting ride. I started the company after a little mishap with one of the top food supermarket chains here in Washington, D.C. I was given a challenge. I took that challenge and I said, okay, I can do much better than what you're serving, what you're selling. I started my company. My first place of operation was at Union Market. I was there for 3 years. 3.5 years. We started in 2013, opened our doors in 2013. And it was an interesting, it was just an interest, it's been an interesting journey. And we didn't have a blueprint of how do you market and how do you sell soup. For example, in the summer when half the population here, or the especially people of color, the idea of a gazpacho or a cold soup is something that is not appetizing or to them. So we we practice excellent customer service and our customers stayed with us. And so what has been considered for the most part a seasonal or situational product, meaning that, we only buy soup when it is cool outside, or we only have soup when it's cold outside, or we only have it when we're not feeling well, has become a mainstream product. So I got into it by almost a challenge, but I think it was a great opportunity. And we're still here after almost 10 years.
It's been that long.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's been a blessing in disguise, to be honest.
Yeah. Thanks, Donna. I want to go back to Negril, because I know over these 44 years, you guys have also dealt with some challenges. You've managed to, like I said, to accomplish this, to stay in business for this length of time. But I know that you've had to do a number of turns and adapting to new locations. And I think also expanding your product line. So could you share that with us?
Brian, no? Okay. So at one stage, we were on 18th Street, and then we decided to open up Southwest. And Southwest really was a very small little store. And that was the coffee shop for the EPA. And we were there for many years. And all we sold, we had 3 sets of coffee machines. The people would come, they were very disciplined. They would come, they'd get their muffins. We made muffins at the time, brand muffins, whatever. And we had 2 entrees, curry chicken, and it all depended on basically curry chicken. and they'd come and get their meal, and they had their cocoa bread and their patty. And that was like a gold mine. And we had the place could only hold maybe the most 4 employees. And one of the employees would go downstairs in the basement, bring up the coffee, whatever, and kept the coffee machines going from early in the morning until we closed early, whatever. Then my brother decided, he heard that there was a factory in Kansas City, Missouri that was for sale. And he had always ultimately wanted to do a patty factory. So he headed on to Kansas City. So let me tell you this story. I shouldn't really. So there was this Korean couple he worked. The husband worked either at NIH or whatever. And the wife wanted something to do, and they were just hounding my brother. They wanted to buy this little 2x2, and he saw the vision of Kansas City. That's where he wanted. This is patty factory time, and we had no money. We really had no money, no venture capital. So at the time we had owned what was then called Montego Bay. We owned that building, okay? So he promptly decided that he was going to sell the building, and his reasoning was 18th Street was not going to be, there was not going to be adequate parking, and so be it. And this is how he convinced that we should sell the building to get venture capital. And we decided also to sell Southwest. And when we did Southwest, he had no financial papers to show Mrs. Kim what the deal was. He just he made sure he didn't open the lockbox, and then he opened it and showed us, so this is what we make. And it was a done deal. We sold Southwest and onwards to Kansas City. In the meantime, we had opened Silver Spring, and I was the one that was carrying Silver Spring from back and whatever. So that's how we had our feet, whatever, in Kansas City. And then my other brother, Paul, he is very mechanical minded and engineer, that sort of stuff. He went to Kansas City. And so Dave would go to Kansas City and I would be here. And there were some projects that we opened. We opened at the, what was the name of the place? In Northeast, Showboat. I don't remember what the name of the place.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that shrimp boat place.
Shrimp boat, yes.
Yeah.
Opened a shrimp boat that didn't fly. We opened up the restaurant in fine dining in Woodmont, Bethesda, Negril, Bethesda. And that was okay, but the only way that you really make money in fine dining is to have a bar. You have to have an so we had the Akipod upstairs, which we did on the weekends. But my brother is not a nocturnal creature. He has to get up and play his tennis or go to his golf. And that type of business, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, that's when you're going home. So was that lasted we were a little ahead of our time. It was a nice venue, but the thing about it is, I will tell you, because I was running all of these things, if you have to tell me it's the surest way to heaven for me to do a fine dining restaurant, because it takes everything out of you and you have to be committed, or you have to live on top of the shop. Okay? So, so all of this, what I'm saying is, and which is what I hear from everybody, is you have to have a passion. If there's no passion in it, the durability or the longevity is not, you'll be burnt out in a minute. So, so we closed Woodmont Avenue, and Silver Spring came on like 6 years after we had opened up Adams Morgan. And as Lisa said, and Joan and everybody, the Howard students found us on 18th Street, and we used to be called the patty shop. That's when we first started. And there were these students, yes, they would come, and there were times when they didn't have any money. And when they got their money, they'd come and they'd pay us, or if not, whatever, because everybody was struggling at that time. But there was, up to this day, there is such a camaraderie with, and a lot of them are all over the country. And they still remember the good times and the fun times and the hangout times at Negril. So now we brought back the Kansas City was not, we did it with a SBA loan also, and it was really a struggle. So we came back, brought it back to Laurel, Cherry Hill Road. And then after, what, 10 years or so? Yeah, we moved to Linthicum. And we are now in the process, and Brian will take over from there, of really, really expanding to, I don't
The
even.
wholesale part.
Wholesale part. Yeah. So Brian will come in and tell you all about that when.
Yeah. One of the things that you've certainly touched on, you've got a family. One of the observations I've made over these years is that not having a plan, a succession plan, for example, is fatal. There's so many of our businesses that, it's not that they haven't thought about it. It's that in addition to doing everything else they're doing, you pretty much can't get around to that. There were a couple of people two of the participants who I had invited tonight, who I know, and Donna also has gone through this, where the struggles are sometimes outside of your business. The recession that everybody has experienced. So we get. In fact, I got into this concern about the businesses because of the number of Caribbean businesses that closed up in the district after the 2008 recession. Then immediately after that, it was followed by gentrification. Mm-hmm. So if you didn't own the building, you had to deal with increased rent, but you also had to market to a new customer base. So I see this flexibility that you guys have had to get involved in, that you had to be, in essence, you had to be flexible. Does anybody want to talk about, I think you've touched on it, but does anyone want to talk about a little bit more about those challenges? And I'm talking about the range of challenges, whether it's something external, whether it's capital, whether it's, health people. What I think it's important for people to understand what you guys have done, that this is up there with, this ability for us to sort of run out the house or call up and get some Caribbean food is, you guys are heroines and heroes for keeping this going. Does anyone want to talk about that a little bit? Donna, I know you've gone through quite a bit in terms of your location, for example. Do you want to speak to how you dealt with that? I don't know if you can hear me. Donna, are you muted?
Someone keeps unmuting me. So, when we first moved to our location, it was a food desert. No one, and it was a neighborhood that's actually in transition, meaning that there were a lot of millennials moving in, people who are family members, white, upper, I don't want to say upper class, but mid-range salaries, maybe six figures, moving into the neighborhood. We stumbled upon the location that we were at by chance, and it was a perfect opportunity for us leaving Union Market. But I think for me, the biggest challenge that the growing pains of my business was attracting and keeping really good employees. It takes the product, the product, the place, the people, the promotion, and the price and the plan to make your business work. And if one of those P's aren't working, then you're going to stumble and you're going to fail. And for us, the place was fine. The neighborhood was changing. We had we had a landlord who, for the most part, had to be supportive because, fortunately for us, we did have the community behind us. But at the same time, there were activities going on the street that would prevent customers from coming in and enjoying the product. And again, we had the challenge of a singular product. We're not doing the oxtail, we're not doing the rice and peas and jerk chicken and curry chicken, we're doing soup. So letting people know that soup is sexy, you need to eat soup, it's healthy and everything. That was a challenge in and of itself. But finding the quality employees to come in and to sell, and finding people who would literally give respect to the product and your effort was also a challenge. Getting the funds, getting the people who hold the purse to say, okay, fine, your business is worthy of money, then of 25,000 or 10,000 or even 5,000, when you had your counterparts who weren't working as hard as you are, weren't doing the same quality product, but they were getting the money. That was a little offsetting as well. So you had all those issues and all those problems just combined and into one big combustible thing that was about to explode. And but again, when you do have products and you do have a community who is behind you and who wants to support you, and thought that what you were doing, it was just so totally neat and different, and the kinds of soups that you were making reminded them of home. And it doesn't matter where they are. They could be from Germany, they could be from England, they could be from Australia, they could be from Africa, in the continent of Africa, Jamaica, or the Caribbean. It reminded them of something. It touched a part of their soul. Then they came back and they supported. And that was our saving grace. But it has been problematic with, just the being in the community. That is pretty much helpful, but at the same time, there were elements in that community that were affecting us in a bad way. And the city, I thought, in some respect, they were reluctant, or it seems like their hands were tied in terms of getting in there and offering the assistance that was needed in order to help us, thrive.
Oh, thanks for sharing that, Donna. Because, of course, I'm sort of involved with my community organizations. And so I'm aware of the challenges that businesses have faced. But I wish someone else would also share, how have they navigated this issue with employees? We see the demand, the jobs are there. How have they dealt with that? How are they able to navigate that issue of, Lisa, I saw where you now have possibly 20 employees. What are the issues that you had to deal with, for example?
still dealing with it actually,
Mhm,
because
mhm.
we need more,
Yeah.
because we're open for such long shifts from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on the weekends, I'm open until 2, 3 in the morning. I have to have, and each shift takes at least 6 to 8 people to run. And even then, unfortunately, we're still short staffed. We're most of the time always short staffed, and that's something that, of course, customers, they don't like to wait, and I mean, most people think it's fast food and they're used to the American culture, the McDonald's, you get in, you get out. And, that's one of the things that hurts us, is the fact that we have so many orders, usually, especially lunch and dinner time, that we don't have the staff to fill it. And because our menu is also so vast, but there is, especially weekends, wait time for us is 30, 45 minutes easily. And I have, that's with a lot of the employees we have, but it's always an issue. Right now I'm looking for, I need a cashier, and, a dishwasher. So I have like 2, 3 positions. I always have my sign up because we're always needing people. And unfortunately, staff, they don't stay along, don't too long. I mean, we have some of my chefs, thankfully, I've had people there for 16 years, one of my employees, and my
Wow.
chef's been around 11 years and 10 years. And so thankfully, and I know having it as a family-oriented business and treating staff like family, I know like Donna touched on, is keep treating your employees well, and thankfully I have some good employees that have been there with me for, a long time. And that's kind of how we keep it going. But believe me, it's rough because I've had days where 2 people don't show up. And then, you go in and you have to wash, you have to cook, you have to clean, and there's so many hats that you unfortunately have to wear. But it's an ongoing challenge. And of course, the pandemic didn't help much. Coming after the pandemic where, staff, they were able to get the unemployment and the benefits and stuff. So a lot of people want to stay home. They don't want to work. And, especially in the hospitality field where it's hard work. It's restaurant field. I'm sure everybody on this call can relate. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever have to do. And if you don't have the passion for it, believe me, you will not last. And this is one of the reasons why, the challenges apart from the staff is getting financing. I mean, I had to move from another location because we weren't doing well, and we moved to this location. I couldn't get a loan. I had to second mortgage my house. And that's how I was able to get it started. And even then I've had to take out, advances with ridiculous advances against my purchases, which have ridiculous percent, interest rates and stuff. And that helped us, survive, but you always need capital. And you always need something to get going because you never know and you have to recreate, We've had to, again, I said, I added the lounge, we do the catering, we just always doing, something specials. You do the stuff to get the customers going. And unfortunately, you can't always depend on your own, people that, like I said, I always carry Jamaica with me. People know me, know I love everything about Jamaica. I have wristbands always Jamaica, my car have Jamaica, this, my license plate, I wear Jamaican colors every day. I'm all about my culture, always playing Jamaican music. I'm always, trying to support everything about my culture. And unfortunately, some of the most difficulties I've faced is relying on your Jamaican customers, because they don't always support, they complain about everything, and it's a sad truth. And because I want to create a taste of Jamaica, a piece of Jamaica here, that to me, it was a little disappointing in, realizing that, the people you think are going to support you, your biggest supporters aren't always there. So, thankfully we've recreated and we've come a place where not just Caribbean people, Jamaican people, Caribbean people, but right now it's really a 50-50. 50% of our customers are Caribbean, 50% are American. And, people who I went to Jamaica and I loved it and I love the food and so unfortunately, you have to just reinvent and, to keep things going. You have to find ways to get your money, to get things, just to stay afloat and get through the hard times. And you have to have grit, to be in this.
Passion and flexibility. Thank
I
you.
knew it was this hard, like somebody said in the beginning. If they knew what it entailed, I would have done it. And I guarantee you, me neither. But because I can't fail, I don't fail at nothing I do. So I don't have a choice but to stick to it. And, you find a way, you find a staff, you hope and pray that these people will stay, and you try and do things to encourage, them. Most of the time, my staff thankfully will say that they think, we create a good environment for staff, we treat you like family and all that, in the hopes that I treat people how I want them to treat me. From my past, employment, I don't want anybody micromanaging me. I know I'm a grown adult. I know what I'm supposed to do. Tell me what I'm supposed to do and let me do it. That's kind of how I treat folks. Unfortunately, not everybody works well that way, but I'm a little too trusting. I'm a little too, and it's come to bite me, but I don't know any other way,
Yes.
So it's a big challenge, and it's ongoing.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. I wanted Joan to talk about the employee situation, since I know that this is so critical right now. What are you experiencing?
The same thing. It's hard to find good employees, loyal employees. It's the exact same thing. Repeating what Lisa said, would be just taking the time from something else. It's the exact same thing.
Okay.
And you're carrying a special kind of food, so you just can't hire any and everybody. You want somebody that has the true Jamaican flavor. Because I don't know about Lisa, but we managed to develop a certain flavor. And that flavor is only taught from one to another because we do not cook off recipe. I don't know how to cook off recipe. Even if you write the same one that I'm doing every day, I won't look at it because I don't. I grew up in a country, never use recipe, but you have all these passion inside of you. And I'm very creative when it comes on to food. I'm very creative. They call me the chemist in the kitchen. I like to create. And so when you do create, but what I do look for, all of the chefs that I have now were trained in Jamaica through some culinary school. So they are trained, they are fine-tuned. And so I'm not a chef, but I am a cook. There's a difference between a cook and a chef, right? So they are the fine-tune of certain things, but I'm the flavor holder. Because your food can be pretty, but if it doesn't have flavor, after the eye's done with it, it's not gonna go well. So I stay at the back of those chefs that are trained in Jamaica and hold them to my flavor. And
how are you able to attract chefs from Jamaica?
One know the other. I pay them well. I pay them well. I pay them because they go to school. So one will tell the other, or they always recommend, and most of the time the recommendation I get is very good. But it is true. I cannot find one here, Lisa. All of my chefs are from Jamaica. And you know how that story going. Before I bring them in, Lisa, some woman come and marry them. You know? I said I need to change my business to something else. A dating thing, because as soon as I bring them in, somebody must have said, oh, Miss Joan brought a new one. But thank God some stay with me, some don't. But they would always recommend somebody fresh out of school, and I'll get them. And at least I'll always have them, you know. I have some of them that married and stay, but some didn't stay. But I try to get good chef, especially with Oasis, it's a la carte. So you have to know something about that. And Lisa, I am so with you. If I had known that this a la carte, oh no, that was Mrs. Chin. Miss Chin, if I had known this beautiful looking operation was so hard, I would have not done it. I would have not done it, but it's good to walk into these things blind. And again, maybe if we were sharing information, we would have known some of the steps not to take. And let whoever take it already fight it out. But with Oasis is my last one that became the most challenging financially. Because for the other two, it was easy. And I always tell people, when you're buying a business, do not use your cash. I don't think bank is doing that anymore. But when I bought my first business, which was the market, I went to the bank and I asked the bank, can you lend me some money against my money? So I put my money into a CD and the bank would lend me off my money. So when that is already paid, my money comes back to me. So then I use the bank money to do business, but I still have my cash flow. But I got hit onto an Oasis. Oasis is like 5,000 square foot. It's a big place. And so we got it out, change flooring, do all these wonderful things, want it to be beautiful. And that thing wiped 200,000 from me before you click your finger. And then it was not returning. The other part was not returning. What the two little store that you walk up and order your food, people see what they're ordering and walk out. And if I did not have the market and the other one, I would be an easy failure. The other two stores is what kept Oasis alive for 5 years. Now it's up and ready to run. But I'm gonna sit here and be honest to you. If I did not have another plan, I would be just one of those businesses that went down into failure after you put so much money into somebody's place and have to walk away and give it to them, give it back to the landlord. After you're spending $200,000 on it, the landlord would have gotten that if I did not have two other businesses to really, because like I told you, my business in Rockville, right there at Rockville Center, it's part of the Rockville city.
Town center.
And I get all the lawyers and the social security people, all the government people. I do get
bureaucrats.
And there are people that come in and buy with no complaint, no murmur. So that store is the duck that lays the golden egg that held Oasis in place until it was able to provide for itself. But yeah, that was my biggest financial challenge.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. And something you guys said, and I think one of the reasons for this kind of program is to share some of these experiences, and somehow maybe down the road we can actually somehow formalize this in some way so that people who are thinking of getting into this business, maybe we can get the government to play a certain role as well in helping you navigate through some of these challenges. So I would like Negril to talk a little bit about the employee thing. I've gone to Negril and it looks like you guys hire. Now this is the up in Silver Spring, and there's a line. There are a good number of employees. What exactly am I looking at when I'm up there?
I defer to Trudy. She's
okay. Manager.
I have no patience anymore.
I mean, it's pretty much what, good evening, everyone. It's pretty much what everyone else said. I mean, it's, the concept of treating everyone like a family. We do, unfortunately, like everyone on this platform, we do experience, a fair share of turnover. We are in a restaurant business. It's a difficult process. It's demanding on you physically, mentally, throughout the course of the days and the weeks. One of the things, and I think Brian's still on the call, one of the things that everyone here has shared is, you cook from the heart, you cook from your soul, and there's no recipe. And that's one of the things I think that makes having a Jamaican restaurant a little bit harder, and having the concept of being able to open more, and having the staffing to be able to do that makes that difficult. So one of the things that, Brian, are you still on the call? If you could join, that would be nice.
It is. I'm here.
Okay, so one of the things that we are currently in the process of doing, because speaking to what Lisa spoke to after the pandemic, trying to find additional people to come on board, that became a very difficult task. And so one of the things that we're trying to move forward with is trying to systemize our stores in such a way that it's easier to run with a limited amount of staff as we have it now, and the possibility of just being able to flex and open more in the future.
Brian, you want to add? I know.
Yeah, I would love to add. I mean, going on the whole employment, I think, we are all sharing the same problems, and I think we at Negril, I am, and I think most of management is leaning into technology to kind of assist us, and hopefully, the Jamaican community is okay with that. But if you've seen, we're leaning into lockers and for picking up food and online ordering. And I know, we're still trying to keep that Jamaican or Caribbean feeling in how we deal with customers. But we also know that we have to help the staff. We have to make their job easier. So, and we know that because we can't keep the employees, and when we have turnover, it's hard to train an employee for, hours, 20 hours, for them to then suddenly decide it's not for them. And you put in 20 hours of work, and they leave on the 5th day, and you came in at 6 o'clock for those 4 days to train them, and then on the 5th day they say they don't want to come anymore. So we're really leaning into technology, whether it's a better dishwasher or new equipment, just to systemize and try and automate things. And that's how we're trying to battle the turnover and the employment issue, as well as pay them better, obviously. And we've always treated them as family, but money talks as well. So
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. And Brian, it's interesting because you're like the second generation, and I might ask, what attracted you to the food business? Obviously your dad is in the business, your aunt, the family, but what attracted
yeah,
you?
no problem. My story is kind of funny. My dad begged me. So I was a auditor with KPMG for a number of years, and actually my aunt and my uncle on the side kind of warned me, are you sure you want to do this? But my dad was like, come on, please come on over. And I made the dive, and it was a shocker for me. And just the amount of work, and you just, even if you're an owner, and people just don't, I don't want to say care, but you care more than others. That's the bottom line, right? And you have to be okay with that, and you have to be okay with paying someone a very reasonable salary, and you can still do just as much as or more than them, because you're willing to put in time that no one else is willing to put in, if that makes sense. And how did it get me? Family for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And running a small business is gratifying, and you get to see the the changes that you make. You will see the end result really quickly. I know Lisa said she wanted to work for herself. There is gratification definitely in that. So you get to see the successes really quickly, and it's not for someone else. And then you pass it along. You pass the success on to the other staff, and they appreciate that. So yeah.
Thank you. What I would like to do at this point is check the chats to to see if someone has any questions. I know when I'm scrolling through, I do appreciate the fact that people have picked up on the need to thank you guys. And this was the main focus of tonight's program, is to recognize the incredible commitment that you guys have made and how demanding that has been personally, financially, blood, sweat, and tears, essentially, to make, to bring us this food, to have it as accessible. And Lisa mentioned something about our people sometimes being harder. You know, we think we can cook it better. We think we, you know, sometimes we come out of not necessarily a restaurant culture, and we're used to doing our thing. But, you know, as I have shared with you, when my sister comes to visit from Normandy, and it allows me to see what an incredible community I live in, that I have these options. Let's go here, let's do this. And all she wants is Caribbean food. She wants to be transported back to Jamaica. So I think there are a number of people who have expressed something very similar. You know, this is Caribbean Heritage Month, to let you guys know how important you are, that you are appreciated. I'm scrolling through because someone was asking whether we were taking questions. Elaine, I don't know if questions got answered, because I'm not seeing questions. I'm seeing comments and tributes.
I had some thought that they could raise their hands for questions.
Okay. Let's see.
There's a question now.
Here's a question. Has anyone created any sauces and seasonings that have been commercialized, available? We had one participant that I'm not sure what has happened. Did he run into some technical glitch? Because he basically, right before the meeting, said he would be on. The question probably we should be asked of you guys as well. Have you considered, I know Joan mentioned that she is the alchemist, you know, have you considered doing any sauces, or is that whole FDA thing too demanding? You want to,
not really. My own establishment it has a high demands of turnover products, and you reach a point that you can't buy everything, so you better make your own, because the cost of goods is so high that if you don't get creative and make up the own thing for your soup and your sauce or whatever, you might be operating at a loss. So I can only afford to make enough to run my 3 businesses. So no, not for the general market.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Brian, have you thought of that?
Making our own sauce or sauces?
Or marketing, or, you know, I mean, that's probably another business completely. But, you know, obviously when you guys have been at it for 40 something years, you sort of know certain flavoring that you bring to certain. Have you considered going into, this person's asking, you know, have you considered creating any sauces or seasonings that could be commercialized?
We have thought about our jerk sauce that we use, but other than that, sometimes we're just so busy we can't think of anything else.
Yeah. Lisa, have you given any thought?
We actually bottle our jerk sauce. We bottle our jerk sauce and we sell it in the store, because, and again, along the same lines, we sell so much and we use so much that we can barely keep up with the demand of our store. Everybody wants an extra jerk sauce with their meal, an extra jerk sauce, or we sell it by the 16-ounce bottles. And what we started doing last year was we bottle our jerk sauce. We started making homemade juices like pineapple ginger, cucumber ginger, carrot juice, stuff like that. So we've started doing those things a lot more now, and trying to keep up with it, because we'll make 90 juices in one day and they don't last 2 days, you know, like our pineapple ginger. Same with the sauces. We'll bottle the sauces and, you know, they go so fast, and just being able to keep up. So I think probably my next venture, rather than opening another restaurant, might be to open another location where we can mass produce stuff, you know, and that might work. But, you know, I'm still trying to figure out what next, what, you know, to be able, maybe just even another location, what we're looking at, another location to facilitate the catering aspect, and, you know, cooking more food to supply the restaurant, because we're constantly cooking throughout the day. I mean, the amount of oxtail and curry chicken and stewed chicken that we have to cook on a daily basis just to keep up, you know, it's a lot. So, and I have a small kitchen. Anybody comes into my kitchen and sees what we put out of that little kitchen, because it's a house that we, you know, renovated basically. And it's just a small kitchen, and to be able to mass produce so much, you know, out of. So being able, we sell it in the store, but being able to do it in a more of a commercial setting is not possible at the moment, yeah, because of our constraints.
Yeah. Work in progress, more things to consider. I'm looking at one of the comments, and I don't know whether this is Sandovan or
There's Henry Bryan.
Yeah, he isn't able to get on.
He's on.
No, it says the
OnePlus.
Yeah, his mic is not turned on by the host. He is in the chat.
OnePlus GN200. Please unmute. Nakisha, please unmute.
He is able to now.
He is speaking, but he's not.
Hello?
We can hear you.
This is Henry.
Yes. So good.
I have been here from the beginning, but my microphone was muted.
Oh my goodness.
He didn't recognize you.
You were giving the introduction.
You know, I
did
see that OnePlus, and I didn't recognize you because I didn't know who that was. I haven't seen you in a while. You look good, but you look different. So, I didn't realize that was you. Oh,
this is Henry Bryan. Is this Henry Bryan?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, we will rename.
Pardon me?
Yes, this is
Henry.
Rename.
Oh, so I would like you to, I know we've gotten you on now at the end of the program. So my deep apologies. But if you could maybe just tell us a little bit about your product. I don't remember how we met, but you have a really good product. You've gone through some changes in terms of still being in the market. You know, you used to be in the stores and you served a lot of businesses. And what he has is a really good jerk. Do you call it sauce or seasoning?
Jerk seasoning.
Seasoning. So
sauce is something that is more liquefied.
Yeah.
But seasoning is the paste.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the original thing that was started in 1887. If you people want to know, jerk was first commercialized in Boston in 1887. Then that's jerk pork, and then it moved from jerk pork to seafood. chicken is a Johnny come lately because it wasn't started until 1970. And when it was started in 1970 in Boston, what actually happened, how it started was because there's a beach in Boston, and on the weekends, a whole lot of buses used to come around. And when the pork was finished, then the people would say to the jerkmen, why don't you guys jerk chicken? And they laughed at them at first because they thought we don't jerk fowl, because they were thinking it's just a yard fowl. They didn't realize that they could go to the supermarket and buy the chicken and jerk it. So jerk chicken was started in 1970 in comparison to jerk pork, which was started in 1887. The first guy who started it commercially made the jerk pork. He went to Port Antonio with it. He didn't have proper containers for it. So he put it in the bark of the palm tree. The supper part that's on the wrapped around the tree. They call it kandakin. And he wrapped it up with string. And at that time, the public health inspector was white, British, and he chased him with it. He said, that's not good for human consumption. So they had to invent something to put the jerk pork in, and then it got better from there. So my product is from the same formula that guy was using in 1887. My product doesn't have to be refrigerated. On the other products you hear, they'll say refrigerate after opening. The same ingredients that were used in 1887 when there wasn't refrigeration is the ingredients I use. So you don't have to refrigerate my product. One of the things I have on my bottle, it says limited in quantity, unlimited in taste and quality. So I just made a little, it's been like a hobby to me. And so I have to move from the stage of having something as a hobby to a business. And so I had actually stopped doing it during the time of COVID, but I'm trying to regenerate and get back on the market.
Good, good, good. Thank you, thank you. Elaine and Dolores, I'm not sure, do we?
It appears Donovan and Sandra are on.
But do we need to close out the session? Thank you so much, O. Henry.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
There's Sandovan Restaurant on.
No, my question though is, do we need to close out the session?
I believe since he's here, it's an opportunity we could afford him to say a brief introduction of his.
Oh yeah, that was actually my question. Really,
Yes.
is whether it's okay to.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So Donovan, who's on? Donovan and Sandra.
Please unmute them. Let's unmute quickly here.
Am I still mute?
Yes. Now you're good. We can hear.
Okay. Yes. It's only me here. Sandra is not good.
Yeah, Donovan. Could you tell us a little bit? I know you guys have gone through, quite a number of challenges, being location-wise, the gentrification, finding a new base, because you guys are also operating a lounge. And so maybe you could share a little bit with us, since it's okay for us to continue talking a little bit. How what motivated you to get into this business?
Well, what motivated me is, from Jamaica, always cooking for my friends in school, and we are, back home we call it run boat. We run in boat, so I'm always cooking. That's how I learned to cook. And when I started to cook, me and my brother, we were about 12, 13. We usually put a pot of busy on the fire and have it ready. So if we poison ourselves, we have something to drink. So, and that's that, and up until today, I keep busy in the store in case somebody have some kind of food allergy or poison to food. If I travel with busy. So that's how I started, went from a young age. And when I came to America, 1990, I came to Miami and worked my way to DC where I met my wife. And I always like to work for myself. I never liked working for anyone. So me and my wife usually throw parties. We used to rent other folks' restaurants and lounge. And one day I said to her, and I want to, instead of we keep renting people place, let's get our own spot. And we found this spot that we're in, 4809 Georgia Avenue. It used to be called Rats Lounge. It was shut down.
I used to go there.
Yeah, it was shut down for about 2-3 years. And I met the gentleman who owned it, and we signed a contract, and we started. It's been a rough, was before the pandemic, it was growing nicely until the pandemic came. And when the pandemic came, it really knocked us off our feet. We still haven't got back up on our feet up, and right now we're still struggling right now. Sometimes I feel like giving up.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, I feel like throw the towel in, but I invest everything that I've worked for since I've been in this country and saved. I put it into the business. I just keep struggling day by day. I'm struggling every day just to keep the door open. But I'm still there. I'm a fighter. I don't give up. Until my back hit the wall, and I can't go back no further than that. But I still keep.
Well, one of the things with this Office of Caribbean Community Affairs, and I don't know if they're on for folks who have locations in the district. One of our interests, and when I say our interest, there's a group of us of Caribbean heritage who have pushed for this office and pushed for, essentially a taxpayer funded staffing that can reach out to small businesses and to identify, what kind of opportunities, what kind of assistance can be provided. So hopefully this can happen for you as well. In addition to the challenges that you have that are, external to the business, sometimes the government can also be, on one hand, they're trying to help small businesses. On the other hand, another agency is also, the ones who decide we got to put the meters in and they got to cost, you got to pay this much money. And for a lot of our Caribbean businesses, they are takeout operations. I know with your business, for example, and I've seen this with other businesses, they'll have a meter scenario, situation until, 1 o'clock in the morning or something like that. Just things that can be very discouraging. So, hopefully we can get some of these things. Maybe one of the outcome of this discussion can also be that we pull together some of these issues and pass them on, whether it's to the district government or it's the Montgomery County folks or the PG County folks, to say that we need more than lip service to say we help small businesses. We need something more.
Because one of the things where I lost a lot of business from folks that live in Maryland is that they getting tickets outside my business after certain hours, especially, and they have this thing where if you're not a resident, you can park in the district after a certain time. My business stay open until late on the weekend. And that's discouraging the folks from coming out late that want to, come and enjoy themselves and stuff like that.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I'm not surprised that you're dealing. I've dealt with this. As I mentioned, I've been pretty active over the years with business community and the community in general. I head up my neighborhood association, and so I've heard these kind of concerns. And so it's time for us to join together as Caribbean businesses to present the issues, not just individually, but to talk about if we have a lot of mom and pop businesses and we have a lot of takeout businesses, to bring that to the city's attention that this is a challenge. And if you don't have the capital to essentially make your way through these challenges, you will fail. So this could be one of the outcomes of this discussion. Since we seem to have a little flexibility, I still would like maybe someone to say, what would you, I think people have shared a lot with, if you were an up and coming entrepreneur, one thing that's come up is sort of where you say, this is a tough business. I'm not sure if you want to get into this business, but is there something, what was the joy? What was the joy that it has brought you? And we only have a few words, so I'm gonna ask each person, what has been the joy?
Well, for me, the joy of serving my community is meeting the folks. I enjoy talking with the customers, and you meet people from all walks of life that you never, you would be meet. I've met basketball player, football player. They come here and eat, and I give people their privacy when they come here. I don't blow them. Oh, that's a rapper over there. That's a singer, and they love to come here because we let them have their privacy. And I enjoy talking to folks and serving them. Me and my wife, we're people. We love people.
I know. I've been on the receiving end. So I thank you. I do thank you. So Joan, what would you say? What's been the joy?
For me, the joy is when I see especially a young couple trying to get married, but they don't have the money. I put myself out there and I let them look their best. So that gives me a lot of joy and pleasure. After I sign that contract with them and finish up the deal, they have no idea what's inside of my head because I'm going to surprise them with the best outlay that they can ever have, whether graduation or weddings. Young people, I like young people. I like to lift them up and give them the pride and send them out.
Thank you. Lisa.
The joy for me, I mean, to piggyback on some of the other comments, is basically having people enjoy coming. When they come and say, Lord, this food tastes good. I haven't had food like this since I left Jamaica, stuff like that. With the lounge, it's, they enjoy the music, they have a good time somewhere where that's safe, that you can come and relax and, get that feel of Jamaica. That to me is, a big joy and also giving back, something that I've been able to do even during the pandemic and since, is giving back to the community. We provide food, and during the pandemic and afterwards, we supply like 100 meals we did 4 hospitals, 100 meals each, to all the frontline, nurses, doctors and stuff. Mm-hmm. And even then, just different organizations that are having stuff. Almost every week, somebody's asking for donations and stuff like that. We can't do all, but, being able to support the community and being able to give back and, each one help one kind of thing. And being in a position to do that. So it's fulfilling to know that our people are enjoying coming to us and just being able to, give a piece of us to those who maybe can't afford to pay.
Thank you. Is Negril still on?
Yes. It's funny that I in reflecting, now that I have time, now that there's Brian and there's Trudy and there's all these wonderful, real core young people who have taken over my business. And I've had time to go to swim class every day, do stuff like that. I still go to work.
Real human things.
Yes, one thing. And it has given me time to reflect this 44-year journey. And I wouldn't want to change it for the world. I mean, it has been almost like a university would never teach you what you learned. And even now, there's still people who always come asking, where are you? Where are you? You know, and they still have access to my cell phone. And it's as if you grew with them. So you went through all their processes, so I have not regretted it. It has been a very rich experience. And thanks to my brother, who he fought, he led, I followed. And he knew that I had his back and he has mine, and he has treated me as such. So I have no complaints, except I will always tell people when they say they want to go into business, as we all said, I try not to tell them or discourage them, because, there are times, as we said, it was no use complaining because nobody would listen, because the facade that we gave them was that it was easy.
Mm-hmm.
It was easy. There were times, as I used to tell people, if I went on a trip, I would write up all the bills and put them on a clothesline and tell them, this is when you mail this letter, this is when you... But it's true, yeah? The other thing that I need to tell them also is that there's certain bills that you have to pay. Your utility bills, your rent. And we had the good fortune in those days to rob Peter to pay Paul. So they wouldn't be running behind you with your taxes. You could defer it a little bit while you paid something else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And I will give you a little story. We had the banks wouldn't give us, we didn't have enough collateral to get, in the early days, to get a loan. And my brother, and sometimes people say, why is he on the golf course? I know why he's on the golf course, because you have to network, okay? So we would have, he courted this loan company, and that was the only way we could get who loaned us some money, right? And I had my little coupon books, and it was my responsibility to make sure that National Surety Leasing got their pay every single month. And so when that was finished, we could ask again for another loan, because we had developed that good credit, okay? So these are things that anybody who wants advice, certain things you have to know who is behind you and not disappoint, okay, as best as you can. And as I said, it was a good journey. It's been
Thank you. I've certainly been on the receiving end of your hard work, and I certainly appreciate what you guys do and what you represent. Donna, what has been the joy for you?
Okay, so they say that music is a universal language that everyone from all over the world identifies with music, and reggae music has been up there as such because it has penetrated all corners of this world. But I do think our food is the greatest joy that I've experienced with my product is when someone has tastes my soups and they say that it reminds them of home. And they have never necessarily been to Jamaica. They've never been, maybe it's their first time having Jamaican or any Jamaican inspired food, but there's something there about what we do. And maybe it's the passion that we bring to the food that makes it comforting to them, and they feel that this reminds me of like, you know, a very tight hug from my grandmother.
Nice embrace. Yeah. You definitely captured that for me. You know, for those who might get, Donna has you tasting the soups for the day. And you can see the joy when you express which ones you like or suggestions. So I do thank you personally. And as I mentioned with O. Henry, I still don't remember how we met, but I have been such an advocate of your jerk seasoning because it and his use of it. We did a couple programs together and using it on vegetables. And I've always remembered, I think it was the mushrooms that you did with your jerk seasoning, and I used it. What's been the joy so far?
Okay, the joy that I have gotten is the accolades from people for the taste of the product. For example, when I just started out, and one time I went to Caribbean Market and did some jerk chicken and was giving samples to people, and one lady said to me, "This product does not belong in this store. You need to take it to the gourmet stores." I have a guy who owns a restaurant, and he says to me, I don't use any other product for myself personally but yours when I'm cooking for myself. He says, even when I'm frying dumplings, I put it in there.
Mm-hmm.
Another lady said to me, one Sunday morning I got up and I didn't know what I wanted to eat for breakfast. And I just put a slice of bread in the toaster. And when I took it out, I just spread some of the jerk seasoning on it.
Yeah. I've done the same thing. I drop a little bit of it here and there. And I know that it's not going to be overly salty, or, you know, it complements where I'm headed in terms of my food and my health. I really want to thank everybody. I mean, you know, I came out of a heritage where my parents had, I'm really dating myself. There was a big outdoor oven, that kind of clay brick. I don't know if anyone remembers this. And my father baked buns, and my mother made patties, and we had a farm. And so I'm very connected to food. My sister is a pastry chef. And celebrating what you guys do is a passion for me. And what I'd like to do in closing out is just read a couple people's comments. Dolores McCoy, she says, wonderful. It's great to hear about the restaurants creating job opportunities and their commitment to cultural representation that helps maintain our cultural heritage while fostering diversity in the community and sharing it with our cultures. Reverend Godfrey said, I learned so much from these great Jamaican entrepreneurs in the DMV. You have shared such rich stories with us that we did not know. Thanks. And here's one from Dr. Knight, the president of JNA. Thank you, JNA members and CAFA and our DMV entrepreneurs for an informative and outstanding virtual talk. And here's one from someone who I hadn't connected with for a little while. This is Margaret Bernal. I don't know if you remember, her husband was the ambassador at one, years ago. And she says the restaurateurs of the DMV are an ongoing foundation for the cultural identity of our Caribbean community. They deserve our thanks and support. And she says, it's time for a Caribbean cooking channel. Blessings, more strength, and thank you. And Jennifer Asher says, thanks to all restaurateurs. true joy and happiness is not found in a life lived for oneself, but rather a life of giving of oneself for others. So thank you from the heart. And I'd like to close out with that note.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
A beautiful evening. Thank you.
I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it.
Okay.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Okay. I miss your jerk sauce, you remember?
I Margaret, I'll come to and look for you
I'm
and
not
give you a
there. I'm
compliment.
not there. They haven't given me an office. They did the renovations and they erased me from the.
Okay, I'll drop one by the
Yeah, my
store
cell
for you.
number. Yeah, my cell number.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Okay.
The shores will always be kind to me. Oh, I will give this you to me by my father's hand. All the days I will sing praise of your heart, Lord, is still my